Well, it is because the city is basically under siege. I mean, they lack access to electricity, water. So it's one of the most brutal and inhumane approaches that the Russians are dealing with the citizens there. And it's important to note, Mariupol is the 10th biggest city in Ukraine, and it's largely Russian speaking, either ethnic Russians or Ukrainians that speak Russian. So we see that Putin's brutality extends to attacking basically some of his own people. And this was a town that would have been in support of Putin in the past. And we can see at this point, this brutal siege policy has forever changed this.
What's really concerning is the humanitarian situation there right now, with President Zelensky claiming that aid convoys have been captured by Russian forces.
Yeah, exactly. And the other issue is that the Russians are shelling the city from the sea. So it's just a relentless assault on this city. And we remember the reports that they had tried to capture the mayor there. It's been one of the cities that has faced the toughest battles against the Russians and some of the most brutal force.
Western officials, meanwhile, say Russian forces are facing serious shortages of food and fuel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in even the best case scenario for the Russians, this conflict has become a stalemate. In the worst case, you're starting to see the Ukrainian forces actually taking back territories, taking back towns. In particular, they've been able to take back a town near Kyiv. This is an important town, logistically speaking, for Russians to be able to transport goods and cutting them off from the highway. Russians are suffering from starvation. They're suffering from frostbite in some instances. And of course, the biggest problem is they're suffering from low morale. Many of these contract workers and conscripts are poorly paid. The conscripts in particular are paid about $25 a month. They have no idea why they're there. They're not very well trained. And they're fighting against Ukrainians that are incredibly creative in the way they've chosen to fight, that are incredibly united and have strong morale. And they've felt the support internationally, but also with each other. I mean, some of these people have never been in battle before, but their tremendous commitment contrasts with the incredibly low morale that these poorly trained Russian troops have.
Well, a Kremlin spokesperson has not ruled out nuclear weapons being used by Putin, with the Pentagon describing the comments as dangerous.
It's incredibly scary that these types of words are used, that there could be a possibility of nuclear weapons being used. I still think that is unlikely based on U.S. intelligence. But at the same time, we can't say that it's impossible, because Putin, when he is cornered and he's become increasingly isolated just in terms of who's advising him, he's going to become more aggressive and more willing to take on risks. What I think is more likely to happen is he's going to be using chemical weapons against civilians, against anyone, because the war is going to get more brutal. It hasn't been going according to plan. It's basically been a huge disaster. And that's what often dictators do in this situation. They turn to greater levels of brutality.
And they might be calling in for more help. US and NATO officials are warning that Belarus might soon enter the war. What's the likelihood of that?
Well, it's possible, but again, they're going to have issues of morale. The average Belarusian person does not want to support this war, even if they are getting misinformation about what's going on. And there's even stories that there's going to be military defections from the Belarusian side. There's already problems with defections on the Russian side. So it's possible that other countries like Belarus might be able to get involved, like there could be secret military support from China. But as this continues to go on, we're seeing more and more countries appalled by the tactics under Putin.
Natasha, Lindstaedt, thanks so much for your analysis.
Thanks for having me.